Everyone, stop scrolling right now. In exactly 72 hours, something massive shifts in your reality. This isn't gentle, this is cosmic force. Sagittarius, you're at the center of this storm. All signs feel it differently, but Sagittarius, you're about to be shaken to your core. Stay with me, because what I'm seeing is intense. This reading came through with such violent energy that I had to step away twice before finishing it. The cards aren't just speaking, they're screaming. And what they're showing me for the next 72 hours is something I've never seen this concentrated, this powerful, this unavoidable. Whether you're Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, or you have heavy Sag placements, you're going to feel this in your bones. But honestly, all signs need to hear this, because the energy rippling out from this event touches everyone differently. Some of you are about to witness something that changes everything you thought you knew. Some of you are about to become something you never thought you could be. And some of you are about to face a commitment you've been running from for years. The universe doesn't care if you're ready. The countdown has already started. The first card that flew out of the deck before I even started shuffling was the Tower. And I don't mean it gently slid out. I mean it flew across the table like it was shot from a cannon. The Tower in this position, with this kind of aggressive energy, is telling me that in 72 hours, something you've built your entire philosophy or sense of unlimited freedom around is going to crack wide open. But here's what other readers won't tell you. The Tower isn't your enemy. The Tower is mercy, because what's about to crumble has been held together by toxic optimism, intellectual illusions, and false foundations for so long that if it stayed standing any longer, you'd suffocate inside a lie. Sagittarius, you feel this already, don't you? That trembling in your legs, that's not anxiety. That's your body preparing for impact. That's your shadow self waking up and saying, finally, we're done running. The energy around this is specifically concentrated in the next 72 hours because of a cosmic alignment that's activating your fourth house, the house of roots, foundation, and emotional non-negotiables. This isn't about surface-level changes. This is about ego death. This is about the parts of yourself you've kept locked in the basement finally breaking through the floorboards. And I know that sounds terrifying, but Sagittarius, listen to me. You've been preparing for this your entire life. Every false start that taught you the cost of non-commitment. Every journey that taught you that the real truth is internal. Every moment you felt like you were drowning in endless possibilities, but somehow kept charting your course. That was training. That was your shadow self-building muscle. And now in 72 hours, you're going to need every ounce of that dark strength. The second card sitting right on top of the Tower like a crown is the Devil. Now, most readers will tell you the Devil is about addiction, toxic relationships, feeling trapped, and sure, that's part of it. But in this reading, with this energy, the Devil is showing me something much deeper. The Devil is your power. The Devil is that part of you that everyone told you to suppress, that tendency to use brutal honesty as a weapon, that ability to intellectualize away emotions so accurately. It's almost predatory, that cold, calculating side that knows exactly what to say to dismantle a false argument. That darkness you've been taught to be ashamed of. Sagittarius, in 72 hours, you're going to need it because what's coming isn't going to respond to your blinding optimism. What's coming requires you to meet it with sober realism. I'm seeing someone in your immediate circle. And Sagittarius, you know who this is. This person has been wearing a mask. They've been playing a role. They've been pretending to be something they're not likely, someone committed to the same journey or vision as you. And you felt it. But you've been ignoring your intuition because confronting it would mean admitting your discernment was flawed. You were manipulated. You were played. And your ego doesn't want to admit that. But in 72 hours, their mask doesn't just slip, it shatters. And you're going to see them for exactly what they are. The cards are showing me the Seven of Swords reversed. All the intellectual theft, all the half-truths, all the dodging of responsibility coming to light in one brutal moment of clarity. This isn't going to be a slow reveal. This is going to hit you like a freight train. But here's where your shadow power comes in. Because when this revelation happens, you have two choices. You can respond from your wound, seeking a philosophical debate, trying to understand the why behind their flawed logic. Or you can respond from your power, cold, calculated, surgical, in how you cut them out of your life. No explanation needed, no philosophical debate required, just pure, decisive action. The Devil card is telling me that the version of you that exists 73 hours from now will not be the same person reading this right now. Something in you is about to harden. Something in you is about to become unbreakable. And yes, some people will call that cold. Some people will say you've changed. You've become harsh. You've lost your signature joy. Good. Let them say it, because what you're gaining, unflinching truth, is worth infinitely more than their approval. The moon is here too, sitting between the tower and the devil like a bridge between worlds. The moon is revealing that what happens in 72 hours isn't just a physical event, it's a psychic earthquake. Your subconscious has been trying to send you warnings for weeks now. Those dreams you've been having about being trapped or running out of runway, those aren't random. Those are prophetic. Your shadow self has been trying to prepare you, trying to warn you, trying to show you what's coming. But your conscious mind kept dismissing it, kept rationalizing it away with optimism, kept choosing the comfort of ignorance over the discomfort of truth. Well, Sagittarius, in 72 hours, ignorance is no longer an option. The moon is forcing you to see what you've been refusing to look at, and it's going to be brutal, but it's also going to be liberating. I'm seeing this affect your financial situation too. The cards are showing me the Ten of Pentacles reversed. Whatever sense of material security you thought you had tied to a shared vision or future investment, something about it is illusion. Either you've been lying to yourself about the sustainability of your lifestyle, or an income stream tied to a belief or venture you thought was stable is about to reveal itself as volatile. In 72 hours, you're going to see the truth of your material reality, and it's going to require you to make some hard, fast decisions. The shadow power here is that once you see the truth, you can work with the truth. It's the illusion that was keeping you trapped. The brutal clarity coming in 72 hours is your liberation. Wait, hold on. This just completely changed what I was about to say. Sagittarius, pay very close attention to what I'm seeing now because this is crucial. There's another layer to this that I almost missed, and it changes everything about how you need to prepare for these 72 hours. The Death card just revealed itself beneath everything else. And suddenly, the entire reading makes sense in a completely different way. Sagittarius, what happens in 72 hours isn't something being done to you. It's something you're choosing. At some level, your higher self has called this in. Your shadow self has been orchestrating this because you've outgrown your current reality so completely that your soul is literally forcing an evolution. The tower, the devil, the moon. These aren't external forces attacking you. These are internal powers you've been suppressing that are finally breaking through the walls you built around them. Here's what I'm really seeing. For months now, maybe even years, you've been living in a smaller version of yourself. You've been playing it safe. You've been making yourself intellectually digestible for people who can't handle your intensity. You've been dimming your wisdom because other people found it threatening. You've been hiding your shadow because society told you truth must always be palatable. And your soul is done. Your shadow self is done. In 72 hours, something happens that gives you permission to finally stop performing, to finally stop pretending, to finally become the full, unfiltered, unapologetic version of yourself that speaks its truth without apology or filtering. The transformation I'm seeing is specifically around your commitment. Sagittarius, you're known for being the traveler, the adventurer, the free spirit. But what no one talks about is how that often comes at the cost of anchoring yourself. How you'll commit to the next distant horizon, but not to the ground beneath your feet. How you'll exhaust your energy chasing an external truth, but refuse to face the internal one. How you'll sacrifice your own need for roots to meet everyone else's expectation of the free spirit. In 72 hours, something happens that makes you realize you can't do that anymore, won't do that anymore, refuse to do that anymore. And the beautiful, brutal thing is, you won't even feel guilty about it. I'm hearing the word enough echoing through these cards like something in you just snaps. Not in a breakdown way, in a breakthrough way. That moment, where you suddenly see with perfect clarity who's been using your non-committal energy as an excuse for their own, who's been taking advantage of your generosity with advice. And instead of being sad about it, you're just done. Coldly, calmly, decisively done. The devil energy here is that detachment, that ability to cut people off without the emotional turmoil, that willingness to burn bridges that were only ever leading you backwards. Anyway, the specific trigger I'm seeing for this 72-hour event is related to a conversation. Someone says something to you, or you overhear something, or you receive a message, and suddenly everything clicks into place. All the little inconsistencies you've been noticing but dismissing. All the red flags in their arguments you've been explaining away. All the gut feelings you've been ignoring because you didn't want to be paranoid or negative. In this conversation, something is said that you can't unsee, can't unhehera, can't rationalize away, and it's the catalyst for everything else. If you're feeling this shadow awakening happening, drop a comment below, because what comes next is about using this power, not just acknowledging it. The Ace of Swords is coming through now. And this is significant because the Ace of Swords represents brutal clarity, cutting truth, mental breakthrough. After that conversation, after that revelation, your mind becomes a weapon. You start seeing everything clearly. Not just this one person or situation. Everything. You start seeing patterns you never noticed before. You start understanding dynamics that were always invisible to you. You start recognizing hollow philosophies and intellectual manipulation tactics that used to work on you. Your discernment becomes razor sharp. And Sagittarius, this is permanent. This isn't something that fades after the initial shock wears off. What happens in 72 hours fundamentally changes how you perceive reality. You can't go back to being naive. You can't unknow what you're about to know. This is going to affect your relationships across the board. The cards are showing me that in the weeks following this 72-hour catalyst, you're going to re-evaluate every connection in your life. Friends you've had for years are suddenly going to look different to you. Philosophical groups you've accepted as just how things are suddenly going to seem unacceptable. Romantic connections you've been trying to force are suddenly going to feel exhausting. And the beautiful, terrifying thing is you're going to start making changes, rapid changes, without warning, without long explanations, without trying to make everyone comfortable with your evolution. You're just going to start moving differently. The Four of Swords is here reminding you that after the initial 72-hour explosion, you're going to need to retreat. This isn't going to be a social performative transformation. This is going to be an internal private metamorphosis. You're going to need time alone. Serious time. Time away from everyone's opinions, everyone's reactions, everyone's attempts to pull you back into who you used to be. The shadow work required here is deep. It's not Instagram friendly. It's not pretty. It's you alone confronting every part of yourself you've been taught to reject and choosing to anchor it instead. Choosing to own it instead. Choosing to weaponize it instead. I keep seeing the image of a snake shedding its skin. That's what this 72-hour window is. You're about to shed a version of yourself that no longer fits. And the process is uncomfortable. It's claustrophobic. There's a moment where you're trapped between who you were and who you're becoming. And you can barely breathe, but you push through. And what emerges on the other side is something more, something sharper, something that knows its power and isn't afraid to use it. The financial clarity I mentioned earlier connects to this too, because part of your shadow awakening involves getting real about money, about your worth, about what you're willing to accept. The Six of Pentacles is showing me that you've been in situations where you give wisdom, energy, and enthusiasm, and receive breadcrumbs of respect or commitment in return. Whether that's in career, business, partnerships, or personal relationships, there's been an imbalance, and you've been accepting it because you didn't think you deserved a stable foundation, or you were afraid that if you demanded commitment, they'd walk away. In 72 hours, that fear dies. You stop caring if they walk away. In fact, you start hoping they do so. You can make room for people who actually value what you bring. Okay, this gets heavy here. Take a breath, because what I'm about to reveal is the core of everything. This is the part that most people aren't ready to hear, but you need to understand this if you're going to navigate what's coming. The final card, the one that ties everything together, is the Eight of Cups in Sagittarius. This is the shadow climax of the entire reading, because the Eight of Cups is about walking away, but not the gentle, gradual, let me ease out of this situation kind of walking away. This is the I'm leaving in the middle of the night without explanation, because if I stay one more second, I'll lose myself completely kind of walking away. This is the I'd rather have nothing than continue having this kind of walking away. This is the I don't owe anyone closure explanations or a soft exit kind of walking away. What happens in 72 hours creates a moment of such clarity that you realize you've been wasting your life, wasting your energy, wasting your potential, wasting your power, chasing the next horizon instead of building a solid one where you stand. And the shadow power of the Eight of Cups is that it gives you permission to just stop, to just walk away, to just be done without guilt, without shame, without the need to make everyone understand your decision. I'm seeing specifically that there's a person or situation you've been tolerating that you know isn't right for you. You've known for a while, but you've been staying because of history, because of investment, because you kept hoping it would change, because you didn't want to be the bad guy who gave up on the grand vision. Sagittarius, in 72 hours, you're going to stop caring about being the bad guy. You're going to realize that staying is actually harder than leaving. That loyalty to the wrong philosophy is just another form of self. Betrayal that you don't have to keep moving to prove your freedom. The shadow message here is about selfishness as a survival skill. Because, Sagittarius, you've been taught that prioritizing your own foundational needs is selfish, that choosing your own well-being over other people's comfort is cold, that protecting your energy by anchoring is heartless, and those beliefs have been killing you slowly. What happens in 72 hours breaks that programming. You suddenly understand that selfishness isn't a sin, it's necessary. That boundaries aren't mean, they're loving. That cutting people off isn't cruel, it's self-preservation. And once you understand that, once you really integrate that, you become unstoppable. The Nine of Wands is here too, showing me that yes, you're battle-scarred. Yes, you've been through hell multiple times. Yes, you're tired. But that exhaustion is about to transform into resilience, into strength, into the kind of unshakable knowing that no one can touch you because you've already survived worse. The wounds don't make you weak. They make you dangerous because you know exactly how much pain you can endure and still keep standing. And that knowledge is power. I'm being shown that the 72-hour window specifically involves a choice moment, a literal crossroads where you have to decide. Do I keep playing small by running to make others comfortable? Or do I finally claim my full power even if it means losing people? Do I keep suppressing my shadow to maintain false harmony? Or do I integrate my darkness and become whole? Do I keep seeking external validation for my wisdom? Or do I become my own authority? And Sagittarius, the cards are clear. You're going to choose power. You're going to choose yourself. You're going to choose truth over comfort. And it's going to be the most liberating decision you've ever made. The aftermath of this 72-hour catalyst is long-term transformation. This isn't a temporary phase. This is permanent evolution. The version of you that exists a month from now, 3 months from now, a year from now, unrecognizable. Not because you changed who you are, but because you finally stopped pretending to be who you're not. You stopped performing for an audience that wasn't even paying attention. You stopped dimming your light for people who were never going to appreciate it anyway. You stopped giving your power away to people who didn't know what to do with it. And yes, some people are going to be uncomfortable with your evolution. Some people are going to say you've changed, and not in a good way. Some people are going to miss the version of you that was easier to control, easier to manipulate, easier to take advantage of. Good. Let them miss it. Let them be uncomfortable, because their discomfort with your growth is proof that you're doing it right. The people who truly value you will celebrate this evolution. The people who don't can leave, and you'll be fine either way, because you finally learned that being alone with yourself is better than being surrounded by people who don't see you. The specific action the cards are advising for these 70 hours. Prepare your exit strategy. Whether that's literal exits from relationships, jobs, living situations, or energetic exits from patterns, behaviors, beliefs. Start preparing now. Get your resources in order. Get your support system in place. Get your mind right, because when that moment comes, when that conversation happens, when that revelation hits, you need to be ready to move. The tower doesn't give you time to think. The tower doesn't care if you're ready. The tower just happens. And you need to be positioned to use that destruction as fuel for your reconstruction. This is your shadow integration, Sagittarius. This is your dark baptism. This is where you stop being afraid of your power and start wielding it. This is where you stop apologizing for your intensity and start owning it. This is where you stop asking for permission and start taking what's yours. The 72 hours are coming, whether you're ready or not. But if you prepare, if you embrace it, if you use it as the catalyst it's meant to be, you're going to emerge from this as something unstoppable. If this reading shook something awake in you, you found your sanctuary. Cosmic treasure doesn't sugarcoat. We don't do toxic positivity. We do shadow work and real transformation. Subscribe for dark tarot readings that tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Comment, which part of this reading hit you hardest? Sagittarius, your metamorphosis is happening. Remember, your darkness isn't something to fear. It's your greatest weapon. The 72-hour countdown has started. Are you ready to become who you really are,